Diagnosis. How are you going to solve the disease if there's no diagnosis of what the problem is? First thing is always got to be diagnosis. But if you can't find the cause, Prabhupada says you can't find the what cause? The immediate cause. You always know that Sarva Karana Karanam. That's from where? From Samhita. So you always know that Krishna is ultimately the cause. So when the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is what she's doing here. Tat Padam, at his feet. You're the ultimate cause. Mother Yasoda concluded that the wonderful things she saw within the mouth of her child were due to him, although she could not clearly ascertain the cause. Now, of course, as I said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary on this verse, says that she decided they weren't due to him because he gets hungry and he's naughty. So, in other words, she definitely decided that it wasn't due to some manipulations of the demigods or to some craziness on her part. Therefore, when a devotee cannot ascertain the cause of suffering, now this is interesting. Prabhupada's kind of switching here, isn't he? Because Mother Yasoda is not suffering. It's not that she just broke her leg or her house burned down or her husband left her, or it's not, she's not suffering. But he's bringing this because what are the main times when we say, "Why, Lord?" It's not usually if we have some mystical spiritual experience. If we have some mystical spiritual experience, we're like, tell me why this happened. What are those times? For us, those times are mostly when there's some suffering. Generally, if it's suffering for ourselves or someone we're attached to. Sometimes when it's just suffering in general. But I've often wondered if the reason we're upset by suffering in general is we wonder about what about my suffering? You know, what's the reason for all these poor kids dying in an earthquake? They didn't do anything wrong. What we're really asking is, what about my suffering when I haven't done anything wrong? Therefore, when a devotee cannot ascertain the cause of suffering, so Prabhupada's making this bridge. If you can't understand the why of something, and the main time that we really want to know the why of something is when we're suffering. He concludes, Tate nukampam sushamikshimano gunjana evatma kritam vipankam vidvak vapurvir vidadam namaste jive teyo mukti pade sadayabak. Who said this verse? Lord Brahma. So it's in Canto 10, chapter 14, text 8. And Lord Brahma says this verse when he's
offering prayers to Krishna.
Offering prayers to Krishna after Krishna has shown him all his potency. So it's a sort of similar circumstance where Krishna has shown Lord Brahma some mystical, amazing display that Lord Brahma can't comprehend. Now it's interesting that in this verse we have Rid, Vak, Vapurvir. Rid means the heart, Vak means the speech, Vapu means body. And in this verse we have Cheto, Mana, Karma, Vachobir. So Cheta is one's consciousness or one's intelligence, Mana the mind, Karma activities, Vachobir. So Prabhupada is translating that Krishna cannot be understood by any of those things. But also, again, when we look at the commentary, we find that it can also be understood that I surrender with all those things. And it's possible that one of the reasons Srila Prabhupada has brought in this verse is for that reason. That another way this verse can be understood is that I surrender to the Supreme Lord with my intelligence, with my mind, with my speech, and with my body, which Prabhupada is now relating to this verse from Lord Brahma. The devotee accepts that it is due to his own past misdeeds that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has caused him some small amount of suffering. Thus he offers obeisances to the Lord again and again. Such a devotee is called Mukti Padaya Sadayavak. That is, he is guaranteed his liberation from this material world. So this is one of the keys. Those of us who've been practicing Krishna consciousness for a long time, I'm sure we sometimes wonder, what's the trick? Okay? What's the trick? So this is one of the keys. This is one of the guarantees. Sounds simple. One of those things that sound really, really, really simple. Whenever you have some suffering, you don't understand it, just offer obeisances with your body, mind, words, and say, my dear Lord, I offer more obeisances to you in this suffering that I don't understand. Simple, then guaranteed everything's finished. Easy to say, hard to do. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, all these guys last night, It was really interesting. That was a very interesting class. These are, it's one of the top 3 financial institutions in the world. And they're saying, where was I? Got lost. Anyway, we'll find it. We'll get there. We'll find it. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 2:14, Matras Parshas Tukante Asitos Nasukadukada Agama Painoin Nidchas Tam Tatikshas Vabhavanta. Which means? That's the translation. The Prabhupada doesn't give it here. Appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception of sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. They arise from sense perception. We should know that material suffering due to the material body will come and go. Therefore, we must tolerate the suffering and proceed with discharging our duty as ordained by our spiritual master. Ato yatavanna vitarka gocharam cheto manakarna vacho viranjasa yad ashrayam yena yata pratiyate suadur vidbhavyam pranatasmitat padam. Therefore let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances unto Him, who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmos is maintained, and by whom we can conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for He is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities.